If Tracy and I had $1 for every time a dentist has told us, I believe in your training, I've talked with other docs who love what you've done for them, but, here comes the but sandwich. You need to convince my team that my practice, my business training is a good thing before I can sign up. Who's in charge? I'm just asking for a friend. And we begin our podcast right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
I know some of you listening are clients of ours, actually a lot of you are clients of ours, and you might be thinking I'm talking about one of you. And you're right. I am, collectively, but now that you've been through our team and advanced dental business training, you've been taught to take charge of your practice and no longer allow your team to have the final say. It's your energy bus. You know, I love that book. You know, you now realize that you created your dental practice for your purposes. Sure, you want their input. I want my team's input all the time, but you've got to understand that it's your energy bus and not theirs. The vision and direction of your energy bus is yours and yours alone. And while you want your team to thrive and be successful, which I do, they can either ride along or get off at the next stop. It's their call, and it's like it shouldn't be their decisions to make or break the bank. It's funny how all of our team members want they want raises, they want more career success, but yet they can be absolutely their own worst enemies in allowing us dentist owners to move forward. The same is true with DSOs and corporate dental run offices. The leadership of those entities, they beat their chest. I know business. Dentists don't know business, but we've seen just the opposite most all the time. And I do mean most all the time. So there I go. Again, I'm being so abrasive. No, I'm just being truthful. Okay, there's a difference. Dentists who don't take charge of their businesses have one thing in common, and it simply comes down to lack of leadership. It's almost like many dentists want to leave the business side to someone else. We see that with when hygienists will co-diagnose with the dentist periodontal disease. The dentist will come in, do the exam of the patient. Instead of talking to the patient about the periodontal disease, the dentist will just go, just do what my hygienist said. He or she, they know what they're doing. Just go ahead and do it. Where's the leadership in that, doc? It's nowhere to be found. Unfortunately, that someone else, quote unquote, it's usually the office manager who doesn't hold a business degree and has been misled by dental consultants on a lot of topics and is overworked and underpaid, making those business decisions to run a million or multi-million-dollar practice. It's really sad. You guys know how I feel about that. I've been very clear that we're our own worst enemies because we don't give those wonderful front office team members, especially those office managers, the necessary education and training to really effectively run our dental practices. So in an effort to help many of you listening to this podcast, let me give you some examples that may resonate with your situation. I'll give you some leadership solutions as well. We dentists are perfectly capable of being business leaders. We just need to be taught leadership skills. This is why we dedicate 2 modules to leadership skills in our advanced dental business training. And I love it when we pound it down, and I love watching the aha moment that the eyes just open wide up as I'm teaching those courses. The other day, I had a conversation with a dental business CEO of roughly 28 practices. He's a wonderful person, but has little control of the DSO he runs. More specifically, he has little day-to-day control over the dentists and the dental practices under the DSO umbrella organization. What do I mean? We've trained several of their practices, and all about 5 of them, I believe, and all 5 are way more profitable than the other 23. And those 5 practices have honored their non-disclosure agreements with us, and the untrained practices don't fully understand how the 5 MPMB trained practices are kicking their butts in profitability. The CEO wants the other untrained practices to train with us, but the pride of the other docs is preventing them from learning business principles that can forever change their lives for the better. What I find interesting is the fact that the CEO has little to no control over the practices in their decision to train with us or not. He stated that their DSO thought leadership is to have a hands-off approach when it comes to telling them how to run their dental practices. And I find this statement to be such a paradox considering the sales point to join their DSO. What do I mean? It's the DSOs who tell general practices that the DSO can run the business side of their dental practice so much better than they can. Well, I don't care if it's a huge DSO, a medium-sized DSO, small DSO. I don't care if it's a huge corporate entity, a medium or small corporate entity. Their issues, their problems are no different than the solo practice. Think about that. It's just on a much smaller scale because we dentists we hire people. It's like, oh, you handle that. You deal with that. I don't want to be the CEO of my practice. I want you to just, take it off my shoulders, run with whatever you're going to do. And then oftentimes the dentist gets really ticked off at the front office team members when they make a mistake because they're not, again, they're not being taught or given the necessary tools and education to run the dental practice the way it should be run, like a business. But going back to the DSOs, and I just wanted to emphasize, though, before I go back to the DSOs, that I see this problem, this business issue, from the little tiny $350,000 a year practice all the way up to the $3.5 million a year practice. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing lies everywhere, okay, in dentistry. It's weird. But the DSOs, or sales pitch to getting dentists to join their entity is generally this. These are the bullet points. 1, we will run your dental business and you can just be the dentist. Well, every DSO owner I've talked to, that's not the case. Or DSO dentist that joins, that doesn't happen. Second one is, we know business better than you do because we're business people. Well, I beg to differ with that too, because we've trained a lot of solo practices, and those solo docs are kicking the butt of any DSO type run practice out there once they learn the business skills. And then the ones that are with the DSOs that run with the stuff we train them on, the DSOs they're really happy though, because they don't have to babysit those practices hardly at all. And then the ones that don't get it, they have some struggles. Third one is, we can market your practice better than you can. Well, again, most of the docs that are in the DSOs that I talk to end up having to market their practices themselves. And where's the best referrals come from? Your best patients. So internal marketing still the bomb. The fourth one is, we can do payroll and human resources better than you can. Well, let me just share with all of you out there, nobody does it better than HelpSide, so you don't need them. You don't need to pay $100,000 a year to get these 4 talking points that I've just mentioned. And the other one, the fifth one is we can manage your team better than you can. And again, every DSO doc I've talked to, they have to manage the team. That they'll come in and give their 2 cents worth. But again, how can anybody run a practice if they're not on the battlefield in the trenches day to day? That's what it's like. They're micromanaging. That just doesn't work if you don't understand what each practice their situation totally is on the battlefield. So it's like et cetera, on and on. You get the picture. They promise all this stuff. It just doesn't happen the way they tell it does. But you got to pay a big chunk every month to be part of that DSO. And then they buy your practice, but they want you to reinvest that money back into into the DSO, whatever. The sad truth of the matter is that dentists who sell out to these DSOs, usually they find themselves still handling those day-to-day business responsibilities anyway. Well, continuing on, let me paint a pure business picture of this scenario. Ask yourself if you fall into the same category of business benightedness, whether solo or corporate. Look up the word benightedness. That's my new word. It's coming up. I'm going to start using it more often. If my practice, my business were to train all 28 of those dental practices, the cost of the DSO would be $1.5 million in tuition. Okay. Before you have a conniption fit and pass out, it's important to point out that this DSO would make over $7 million by the time my practice, my business made their $1.5 million in tuition. Nobody guarantees stuff like that. Every practice we train gets the same guarantee. I don't care if it's one practice or 50 practices. With that said, let me keep going with the benefits, to this DSO. If we train them, their combined new net revenue for 28 practices would be between 12 million and 14 million annually. And this is based on historical data, historical results from other group practices that we've trained. We have hundreds of trained dental practices for them to verify our claims of success. Next point is they would experience practice profitability at a level they have never seen before. And this would afford them to get out of debt, expand the size of their DSO, pay team members and dentists a wage that keeps them on board and update their technology. Next point would be they could actually relax the schedule or hire another associate and team members if they like working harder and not smarter at this. If they want to work hard and smart at the same time, that's what they could do. If they want to keep the hamster wheel rolling, they'd be reaping profitability like crazy. Next point was they could become even more patient-centric practices because they are taught to offer choice to their patients, unlike they have ever done before, a different kind of choice, which those of you who've been trained know exactly what I'm talking about. They learn that patient satisfaction and trust increase by offering choice in dental treatment. It's not the kind of choice, again, you might be thinking either if you haven't been through our training. Last point I want to make is they simply have happier team members who take ownership of what they do and they enjoy the financial benefits of that new thought leadership because we teach them to pay their team 5 to 10% of that increase, which makes team members very happy and very sticky and don't want to leave the office. They think twice before they quit and go to a new job, unless it's just toxic, then get out of there. But that just doesn't happen hardly at all with practices that we train. So you got to create a happy environment. Now then, what's holding this DSO entity back from training with us here at My Practice, My Business? I simply call it a lack of leadership from the top down. Think about it. If I had the opportunity to turn 1.5 million of training into over 10 million in new net revenue, folks, not gross revenue, net, and I couldn't get some of my team behind that training, I'd want to know why. And I'll tell you right now, the problem doesn't lie with us here at My Practice, My Business, because we're no respecter of people. We train and want everybody to succeed on the team. That's our mantra. We love these team members. We love these dental offices we train, and we want them to be successful. We want them to stop giving away, dentistry and stop, catering treatment to insurance, perceived insurance limitations. We have extremely happy clients who will verify the potential revenue numbers in a hurry. So they're not pie in the sky numbers. They're real. So my question is this: do DSO and corporate leaders of extreme business intelligence have the ability to make key business decisions that can positively affect the dental practices they serve? Or do they make decisions by committee with committee members who lack business training? I always thought CEOs were the decision makers in corporations. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. So I have more examples of dental corporate entities who have made bad business decisions for their practices. But what about the solo practice again? I want to come back to the solo practice. What about the single doc with 2 hygienists, 2 front office members, an office manager and an assistant front office manager, and say 3 dental assistants. Sound like the typical solo practice, the majority of you out there? That's me. I can't tell you how many times one of our team members has walked into a dental practice with information on our training, only to have that information filed in the garbage can. And sometimes before they leave, sometimes right in front of their eyes. How much money did that decision to not investigate our company cost that dentist and their team? I'll tell you right now, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the average. Who gave that employee the right, the power, the authority, the wherewithal to make that executive decision to just chuck the information and not investigate it? Who is in charge of your practice, doctor? Who's driving the energy bus? Corporate leaders? Well, Tracy and I have seen so many offices where team members are making business decisions that negatively affect the practice. We've seen dentists tell patients, quote, just do what my hygienist says to do. They know what they're doing, end of quote, like I stated earlier. This statement makes my hygienist upset because they want their docs to verify findings and confirm their treatment recommendations with the patient. They want me to verify. Hygienists want you to verify. They want unity, not blind trust. All the hygienists I talk to, they simply want the doctor to take charge and lead. Now then, don't get me wrong. I love the doc who counsels with his or her team members in the decision-making process. I believe everyone has something to contribute in those conversations, as well as the overall success of the dental business. You guys who've been through our training, you hear me talk about that. I believe that the school of hard knocks can turn out very capable team members. Allowing team members to make some business decisions helps them grow in ways they may never have dreamed of. But remember, Doc and DSO CEO, the bus stops with you. I want to thank and praise my colleagues. When I say colleagues, those of you who've been through training, you know who I'm talking about, all of you. Talking about the docs, the office managers, front office team members, dental assistants, hygienists. You're all my colleagues. I can't do what I do without all of you. So I love it. I praise my colleagues who have come to our training courses and have learned how to truly take ownership of what they do. They have been teachable. They recognize the opportunities instead of being negative Nellies looking for obstacles. I love team members who contemplate business objectives and are willing to implement strategies and tactics that improve patient care while enabling procedural profitability. More specifically, I love and respect colleagues who, when they hear truth, act upon the truth and change their antiquated business ideas. I just got a text from one of our clients in another state who took charge of his practice and is already enjoying the rewards of our MPMB business courses in their first week after training. But he's not the only one who is excited about the application of the training and taking off with what they get trained on. His entire team is reclaiming forgotten profitability in dentistry again and loving their newfound knowledge. And it was the leadership of that owner and the positive attitude of the team that made it happen. And that was just with our dental business team training. And I am looking so forward for them to come through the advanced dental business training and the essential office manager training. We combine all 3 trainings because through the years we've noticed that all you docs come back anyway, and then you're paying for a la carte. Tracy and I, to save you $15,000, $20,000, we just combined all the trainings into one fee. You can still get them a la carte, but that's just business stupid. Don't do it. Take and run with all 3 of them. And again, who's in charge? I can't wait again till that office comes through the other 2 trainings because their job's going to hit the ground and they're going to be more fully prepared run their business and be able to weather any economic storm that comes their way. So whether you're the CEO of a large group practice or DSO or a solo practitioner just getting off the ground, I can't tell you enough how important it is to be a leader, not a follower. You're going to make mistakes. We all do. Own them. But don't allow key business decisions to be made by team members whose expertise is not fully grounded in dental business knowledge with real-world experience. You're in charge, and key business decisions should be yours to make. Thanks for listening. I hope you all have a fantastic day.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there has never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.